Yesterday, our grandparents looked at this locomotive in amazement. Today, it is a curiosity. The locomotive hasn't changed. We have. The place is Atchison, Kansas. The time, a sunny day in June. Santa Fe President Gurley presents a new Union Depot to the city of Atchison as that birthplace of the Santa Fe celebrates its centennial. In the span of years between the erection of the old Atchison Depot and the presentation to the city of this new modern structure lies a great era of Santa Fe progress, dramatically portrayed here as the Centennial celebration brings the past and the present side by side. As the Santa Fe grew, smaller locomotives gave way to big ones, and the big ones gave way to steaming giants. And then even the giants were no longer good enough, and the glamour of steam had to make way for the efficiency of the diesel. Accompanied by the fond affection of many Santa Fe veterans, 5034 heads for the roundhouse and the pages of history. The railroad on which this train once ran no longer exists. The very rails along which it traveled have long since been replaced. The Santa Fe of yesterday has been rebuilt from the ground up. The days of 50 and 60-pound rail are long gone, and even the heavier rail which replaced it is now itself being replaced by rails 130 pounds or more. The margin of safety must be maintained. As heavier power comes into use, the rails must change with the load they bear. On the Santa Fe, nothing is permanent except progress. New equipment demands new methods, methods in which rail is laid not in 39-foot lengths, but 1,400 feet at a time. The rail is centered, and it's off with the old, on with the new. A crane gets ready to pick up the new rail. Ahead of the crane, a crew quickly lines up the tie plates. The new rail is dropped into place. The men with the air hammers drive the spikes. 1, 2, 3, and the job is done. Even the sounds of the railroad are changing. With this new butt-welded rail, no longer will be heard the familiar clickety-click as the wheels pass over the joints. Stop, says the train order signal, and out comes the agent with orders to take siding. A scene which is swiftly disappearing, and along with it, other causes of train delay. Today, keep 'em moving is the aim of the men of Santa Fe. Where centralized traffic control is in effect, no longer do trains wait in sidings or brakemen clamber down to set switches. With CTC, the dispatcher determines where trains shall pass. He turns a button, and hundreds of miles away, a switch opens. Double yellow, proceed at medium speed, says the signal, and prepare to enter a diverging route. Red over green, diverging clear. Proceed through diverging route. Travel at prescribed speed through the turnout. The signals talk the engineman into the siding to meet the other train. Without interruption, both trains proceed on their way. Proceed, says the signal, and back to the main track goes the train. The running meet accomplished with a maximum of safety and a minimum of delay. CTC is another step in the story of Santa Fe progress, the story of finding better ways to build a better railroad. A better way of coupling than this old-time link and pin coupler certainly needed to be found. Watch this. The development of automatic couplers enables this switchman to stand clear of the cars and make the coupling with complete safety. But safety is not only a question of equipment. Safety is also alertness and proper supervision. It is noticing that a man has his hand too far back on the claw bar and cautioning him to take a safer grip. Here we avoid perhaps only a few bruised fingers. But that same alertness, when a crew is working with noisy power tools, saves not fingers, but lives. Train coming, says the foreman. Shut off the tools, get to clear. And one by one, the men leave their work. The men on one side, foreman on the other, to observe the passing train and see that all is well. Every department of Santa Fe plays its part in the progress of the road. This Santa Fe crew is the most highly mechanized tie gang in the world. Replacing ties, one of the most laborious jobs in maintenance work, is done completely by machine. This rig pushes out the old tie. Other machines in succession clear out the ballast to make room, insert the new tie, and tamp down the ballast again. With new equipment or old, safety is often a matter of little things we do or fail to do. Take that handle out of the jack, says the foreman. Why should I? That's why. Little things. A little piece of wood, for example. Why is the safety committeeman waving it at someone? What's the matter, Ross? Well, let's go back a few minutes. Two carmen are working on the repair track, doing a good job, as they usually do, when one of them picks up some pages from a magazine. Probably has some interesting article, perhaps on the international situation. That's no way to keep your mind on the job, fella. He's bewitched, bothered, and bewildered for sure. He puts the handle in, then takes it out again. He's pumping the jack, but where's his piece of wood? He knows the rule is never to jack metal against metal. You better forget that picture, fella. You're all confused. A little piece of wood, but it could have caused a tragedy. The old hand car was one of the first casualties of modern railroad progress. But equipment, whether new or old, whether maintenance, operating, or mechanical, is still run by people. When all is said and done, it is what people do with equipment that makes the difference. And as we say, most times it's the little things we do that count. Lots of different people operate motor cars. Let's take two of them, one in Texas and one in California. Bill here reads his lineup, looks at the timetable, and checks his watch. He assures himself that he has ample time to go ahead of the next train. Out in California, Skippy seems preoccupied. He reads his lineup, checks his watch, but today he fails to look at his timetable. Now he knows that number one is on time, but he doesn't check to see when number one is due. Bill, on the other hand, is alert. As he rides along, he looks behind him to make sure he's in the clear. The motor car indicator shows a train in the block as Bill approaches the set-off. He checks the indicator and sees that he must set off. Well, Bill's all right. He's in the clear. But what about Skippy? There sure is something wrong today. He isn't even looking around to see what's coming. Wonder what's the matter. Seems to be in some kind of a daze. That's not like Skip. Why, look at that. He never noticed that signal. Or even the motor car indicator. There's a train in the block. And he's passing his set-off. Look around, Skip. Look around. We don't know how that could have happened. And it'll be a long time before Skippy is able to tell us. 1,000 miles away, Bill is in the clear. Safety on a railroad is a lot of people doing things right. It's not extra work. It's doing whatever you are doing the way it ought to be done. If you work the job right, you go home every time when the day's work is done. That's safety. Toe dancing is a wonderful talent, and many people have danced their way up the ladder of success. Ouch! The best way is to take a firm grip with a hand. Plant the foot sidewise to get as much of the sole of the shoe as possible on the rung. The only time we can have an accident is when we get ourselves in a position for it to happen. Standing in the center of the car, this man has 20 to 25 feet to recover his balance in case of slack action. But with the position this man is in, if the car stops with a jerk, he's going to fall off. And if he hits that ground, he's a goner. Maybe we better pick a softer place for him to light. Falling from cars is serious business, and it's only in the movies that you can pick the place you land. Incidentally, this really could happen. Or didn't you know that Santa Fe was a sea-going railroad? Well, it is. Freight cars are transported across San Francisco Bay on barges. Cars come to the end of the line at Richmond and are then distributed by barge to points around the bay. The skills and ingenuity of Santa Fe men take a new twist as the cars are switched to the barge and Santa Fe takes to the water. A railroad is a changing thing. Changing because it is run by and for people, meeting their demands and expressing their ambitions. Every day brings a new demand on our service, a new adventure in serving the nation. On the Santa Fe, nothing is permanent except progress. No problem is so big that it cannot be solved by teamwork. Moving 164 tons of diesel through the air is a routine job today, but only because Santa Fe people met the challenge of the coming of the diesel with cooperation and creative ability. Old methods of handling truck side, such as this, were awkward and inefficient. Out of the skill and imagination of Santa Fe men came this new, safe, effective way of holding and positioning a truck side while necessary repairs are made. These new and ingenious devices express not only the creative ability of Santa Fe people, but their pride in the road. But just as important, they express the concern of the men for safety. This wire, for example, is wound on an armature at high tension. There's always a chance the wire will snap, yet it must be closely watched as it is wound. So employees devised this guard, which can be opened when it is necessary to adjust the wire and then closed as winding is resumed. Handling caustic soda requires a good deal of care to prevent its coming in contact with the men who pour it into the cleaning tank. Drums used to be lifted with a rope sling, making it necessary for the men to stand near the tank. Ingenuity produced this new rig, which enables the men to stand clear of the tank in case the solution boils over. Willie works in the battery shop, and he really gets a charge out of his work. Of course, he doesn't bother to wear goggles. That's only sulfuric acid in that battery tester. Yipe! Well, the acid was in the tester, but now Willie thinks there's some in his eyes, and he's bellowing like a bull. The foreman, taking no chances, rushes Willie to the neutralizer tank, kept ready for such emergencies, and then to the shower, which dilutes the acid. "Hey, you're getting that water in my eye," says Willie, ending the false alarm. Willie's all wet, but the foreman is burned up. Eye protection against glare, sparks, fragments, and flying particles is one of the most vital of safety measures. Few gifts are more precious than sight. "Say, where's your goggles?" "Oh, gee, I must have forgot them." "Well, you can always get new goggles," thinks John, the safety committeeman, "but you can't get new eyes." People talk about gambling with safety, but it's no gamble. It's only a sucker bet. Even if you win, all you get is the stake you started out with anyway. And you know that your number is bound to come up sooner or later. Nobody can throw 7 every time. Thinking is the basis of achievement in safety and every other field. This machine, conceived and built by Santa Fe men, solves the problem of winding large steel tubes in a conical shape for use in steam generating units. Axles, wheels, and other parts must be inspected and machined to precise dimensions before they are put in service or restored to use after repair. The latest automatic machinery is helping to keep Santa Fe in the lead among modern railroads. Everybody sees the gleaming new diesels and the silvery new trains, but few see the massive, specialized machinery which maintains them in their swift passage. In the shops, as in the yards, on the trains, along the right-of-way, in stations and in offices, the skills of Santa Fe people combine with new equipment to keep Santa Fe constantly moving forward. In addition to this wheel lathe in the shops, a still newer machine crews the wheels without removing them from the locomotive, the latest development of its kind. A portion of the track is pulled back, and a cutting tool is brought in contact with the wheel. Once again, the ingenuity of Santa Fe people keeps the diesels in tip-top condition for the smooth and safe movement of freight and passengers alike. It takes cooperation to meet the challenge of competition. This diesel engine, a small brother of the locomotive engine, is a powerful weapon in equipping Santa Fe to attract shippers of commodities needing refrigerated or freezing temperatures. Progress from manual icing of cars to automatic icing machines, and now to mechanical temperature control, is an example of how foresight and cooperative work on the part of all leads to an ever greater railroad. When the installation is completed, the car is tested at various temperatures. With the thermometer showing 10 below, the door, in itself a new development, is open. Brrr, it's cold in there. Anybody want to ship a polar bear? Emergencies will occur as long as human beings exist. Nobody is perfect. Good planning, proper preparation will take care of those emergencies when they occur. But the greatness of a railroad lies not in coping with emergencies, but in preventing them. Two factors contribute to safety and progress. The first and most important is people. People striving to do a better job more safely. The second factor is equipment and the thorough testing of equipment. This reflectoscope actually sees internal flaws in axles, wheels, and other parts, and prevents defective parts from ever getting in service. All couplers used by the Santa Fe are inspected for cracks by magnetic particle inspection, which detects the slightest irregularity. The metallurgical microscope helps prevent many equipment failures by revealing their cause. High magnification shows the actual grain structure of metal objects. All system construction made of concrete is tested in this laboratory. An actual sample of the concrete used is subjected to compression until it reaches the breaking point. This point is then compared with the specifications for the structure in which it was used. Equipment includes protective devices worn or used by employees in their work. Here, rubber gloves used by linemen are checked periodically. After the technician puts water inside the gloves and puts them in a water-filled tank, he subjects them to a current of 10,000 volts. Various types of soles and heels found in work shoes are tested in this machine, along with different types of running boards. The object is to find which types of footwear are most resistant to slipping and which running board provides maximum safety for the men who use it. In addition to dry tests like this, the materials are examined under laboratory conditions of rain and ice. The machine provides an accurate comparative measurement of different designs and materials. The chemical laboratory of the test department conducts many analyses. Even drinking water from all parts of the system is analyzed bacteriologically as an assurance that it is pure and safe. The elements of greatness may in themselves seem small, yet the whole reputation of Santa Fe is nothing but the addition of little things from all over the system. That is why every challenge, no matter how small, must be met. Fortunately, the people of Santa Fe are safety conscious indeed. Not a yard or a shop but has its safety signs, a reminder from the men to themselves never to relax the drive for safety, nor to shirk the responsibility for life and well-being. Safety is one field where the motto is, the less the merrier, where 0 is the perfect mark. A railroad is run by people, all kinds of people, doing all kinds of work, each contributing in his own way to that total of all our efforts, which is the modern Santa Fe. On the coast, on the Gulf, in the West, in the East, Santa Fe people continuously create the skill and experience which meet the challenge life places before us. We Santa Fe people represent a sum of experience, a total of skill, which is one of the greatest resources of our nation. Working together, we move passengers and freight over the 13,000 miles of the Santa Fe system, fulfilling a function vital to the health and prosperity of the nation. Out of the yard, out of the train, out of the right-of-way, the station, the office, the school, from the knowledge of past and present transmitted to the future, comes the skill and leadership which guides us in the never-ending race for supremacy of service and reputation. The pride with which we tell those we meet, "I work on the Santa Fe," is among the most valuable possessions of the whole railroad. For we could not be proud of the road unless we were proud of ourselves and the others who keep it running and growing. New trains and better trains will come. New equipment will be devised. But people will still run the Santa Fe. And from the experience of the past, the skill and safety of the present, will surely come leadership to meet the challenge of tomorrow.